Hello everyone. So I recently found myself coming off a motorway and I wasn't quick enough because there was a fine for 40 miles an hour and I was slowing down, but there was a speed camera, so I got caught on the speed camera at 47 miles an hour, 47 more than I should have done, and that introduced me to the world of speed awareness course. So I thought, for all those people who don't ever get to go on the speed awareness course, there's a lot that I learned from doing so. Now the first most obvious thing is, if you see the sign which is blue, that means it's a motorway. That is the only definition of a motorway. The signs are blue. That's in the UK. Everything about this is the UK, really. So I did learn a lot, and the main thing that I learned is to adopt a different attitude to life, which I found quite fascinating. It tunes in with what a lot of Buddhists and other spiritual people recognize as being a better way to live. And what they were getting us to understand is that this need to be somewhere as quickly as possible is a bit of a trap and a bit of an illusion, really. And you can get so much more benefit from your driving and from your journey if you just slow down. So now here we are in a town situation, and I learned a lot about driving in these conditions too. The main thing being, if you stick to the speed limit of 30 miles an hour, as opposed to going faster than that, you save yourself and other people a huge amount of aggravation if there's ever any accident at all, because the impact at 30 miles an hour is so much less damaging than the impact at 35 or 40. And if you have all the statistics, and you can see it now, here's a sign that says 20 in the built-up area, and that's going to lead on to something I'm going to talk about in a minute. So there's a general golden rule which I learned, which is when you're in a town, when you've got street lights, then the normal speed is 30, unless you've got those special signs that you saw earlier, which said 20. So going along this road here, and actually it doesn't matter whether it's in a town or in a suburban area or even right out in the countryside, if you see street lamps, whether they are capable of being lit or not makes no difference, the speed is 30. And the only exception to that is if you see signs, and these signs are called repeaters. And so when you're driving along, every 10 seconds or so you would see what is called a repeater, a little sign with a speed limit which would be different. So this is definitely a 30-mile area. There's no repeaters, there's no little signs with numbers on the sign on the street lights we go past. You just noticed a speed camera just a few moments ago, so this is a 30-mile zone. And there's another speed camera coming up, just to give you an idea. And what I do know in the UK is in the next 12 months or so, they're going to tighten up on the leeway. They used to give maybe 3 or 4 miles an hour. They're not going to be doing that anymore. So it really pays to keep your speed to the setting. Right, so here we are back on the motorway again. And this particular motorway is coming off onto a dual carriageway. So the motorway national speed limit applies, which is 70. And when we come onto a dual carriageway, which is what that is still 70. Now we're coming up to a roundabout, and what's going to happen shortly is we're going to find ourselves in an area, and it's not a dual carriageway, and it's not a motorway, and it's got these street lights. So therefore what we're knowing straight away is that the speed limit is going to be 30. Unless, as I mentioned earlier, you get these signs which say the speed is something different. And here we come to the final roundabout in this section, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So here's a sign coming up. In fact, there's a couple of them, and they say 40. So you know when you see a sign that says 40, which is followed by repeaters every 10 to 15 seconds, that you're in the 40 area. You might find you've got the street lights, and it could be a 50 area, in which case that's what you'll have. And so here we are, we're doing the usual thing in English situation, which is to be going from a motorway into a town, and often you'll get a speed limit of something like 50 or 40 following that. And then at a certain point when it changes, it's going to go back into 30 again. And indeed here are the signs come up in the distance, I can see them, and that will change the speed limit back into 30. So another thing I learned, which was really big surprise, is just how different it is when you take a more relaxed attitude to driving, and you are no longer confronted by the desire to get there as quickly as possible. So before my speed awareness course, when I drove along the motorway, I would go at speeds like 80 quite easily and without thinking about it. But since that course, what I do now is I keep to 70 as much as possible. Firstly, because it's within the national speed limit. Secondly, because if you travel at a slower speed, it actually saves a considerable amount on your fuel costs. So you can go a lot further by travelling that little bit slower. And then the final thing that really got to me about this speed is if I'm going at 80 or at 70, going at 80 is only going to save me 6 seconds on every mile. Now, when you start to add this up, it becomes right amazing, because what you begin to realise is that you're going that significant bit faster, putting yourself under that little bit more stress, a little bit more tension, and you have to be more careful. And actually, you're not going to get there much quicker at all in terms of actually how long it's going to take you. And it means that you change the quality of the experience from being focused upon the destination and instead of focusing on enjoying the journey. And that's certainly what I found. Now I drive that little bit slower, keep to within the speed limits that I recognise, I have a more enjoyable time, and it reminds me that it's not the destination that matters in life, it's the journey. So I'm very grateful for my speed awareness course for teaching me and reminding me of what I had obviously forgotten. So the acid test, of course, is how will I be driving in, say, 3 or 4 years' time. My intention is just to take it a little bit easier and stick to the speed limit, save myself money, and give myself a better quality of life and enjoy the journey. Thank you very much.